It is the time of year when playoff races heat up. Both clubs tonight have their motivations as the stretch drive kicks into high gear. We get you set for the Oilers and Utah HC on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas with you as we get you set for tonight's action. Edmonton kicking off a 4-game homestand. Utah continuing a road trip through the Pacific Division, and a big 2 points on the line. We'll tell you why. We'll get some friends to join us, and we'll have some fun. So get in on the action. Text us 780-218-9999. You can also get into the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. To all of you booing me and all of that, boo to you. I'm just kidding. We had a lot of fun over the weekend at the Heavy Hockey Showdown, raising money for the Sexual Assault Center of Edmonton. And well job to everyone involved. Thank you to everybody who came out as well. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. All right. I'm coming at you live at the EST Satellite Studios just outside of Ice District. And Hernan is down at EST Global HQ. Nancito, how you doing today, pal?
I am doing good. I'm just getting our shot up. Sorry. Just doing some stuff.
You're working
good,
on that.
man.
There you are. Hello.
Yeah, excited for the game. Good to see Ekholm back, Hyman back. Good to see our... a guy I've been clamoring to get on the first line, get his shot. So, yeah, pretty exciting game. I've already selected the Oilers are going to win 5-1.
Close one.
I'm very
good.
I'm very optimistic about tonight. Listen, I think with Gager, we discussed it. We said, I'm not using that excuse. So if things don't go the Oilers' way early on, first game after a road trip, that's all out the window, Tom. No more of that.
I heard you guys talking about that. I was like, I don't care for that either. I'm with you 100%. Screw that.
It's go time. This is a team that's hot, sure, but it's a team that, especially with the guys coming back for the Oilers and the way the lineup's set up today, the Oilers need to win this game. And that's why I think it's going to be a bit one-sided here for the Oilers. I think they're really going to want to, show the fans here in Edmonton after a long road trip that they're back, or working their way back, and then that's why I think it's going to be a good game for the Oil tonight.
I was thinking about this, and I was just going over some stuff, prepping for tonight, and if you look at it, Edmonton's won, 1, 2, 3, 4 of its last 6? That's not bad, right?
Sure. I mean, they're coming off one of their better games, and 40 minutes against Dallas. Montreal was just okay, and then I thought the Rangers game, I saw some people saying it wasn't if you really watched the game, they didn't play that well, but I thought they were the better team, Tom, to be honest with you. So
to me, it was a good road game,
Exactly. I thought it was they didn't give up a lot. They got the saves, they played well defensively, and they got some goals from some guys one guy that doesn't chip in often in Arvidsson, so I think that's a positive.
Yes, indeed. I'm reading some of the text from the inbox. Big Maple, you are a funny guy. You are a funny guy. So are you, Norman, a Combine. But yeah, it is a positive with the guys that are coming back into the lineup. So we'll get into all of that. Belle Fraser will be joining us from the Salt Lake Tribune, and Sean Bell in for Matt Cassian tonight as our game analyst. We'll go one after the other with Bell and Sean Bell. As we get you set for tonight's action. Of course, let's start with the starting lineups. Brought to you by South Fort Chev. We're officially in Truck Month, which comes with deeper discounts, lower interest rates on Silverados and HDs, 0% for up to 72 months on Silverado Custom and Custom Trail Boss, the Silverado. Built in Canada. Yes, sir. 90-day payment deferral or $10K cash back with the purchase of a new vehicle. Conditions do apply. See dealer for details. www.southfortchev.com. Drive a little, save a lot at South Fort Chev. Go say hi to Daniel and Claire and the entire crew there. They're absolutely lovely people, and I can't recommend them enough, and we're so glad to have them on board on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pre- and post-game show. So let's begin with the Oilers lineup tonight. McDavid with the aforementioned Jeff Skinner on his left, Zachary Hyman on his right, Leon Draisaitl with Corey Perry and Connor Brown. Perry playing the left side. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins centering Vasily Podkolzin and Victor Arvidsson, who scored a decent goal the other night at MSG. And then the fourth line, Adam Henrique with Matthias Janmark and Kasperi Kapanen. So I saw a lot of positivity in regard to these lines via the text line on our station, as well as the inbox, people saying, finally, and then people on X were saying that they like the balance. On the defense, you've got Ekholm making his return. He's paired up with Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse with Jake Wallman, Brett Kulak with Ty Emberson, Troy Stetcher, Max Jones, and Derek Ryan are your scratches for tonight. Also, when it comes to the blue line, we heard Chris Knobloch say earlier today that he will probably see a rotation of pairs, and they don't want to rush Ekholm into too heavy of a workload this early since missing the last couple of weeks. 6 games Ekholm has not played. Let's go to Utah HC. Alex Kerfoot between Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz. Barrett Hayton with Logan Cooley and former Oil King Dylan Gunther. Jack McBain between Lawson Krause and Josh Doan. Kevin Stenlin with Michael Carconi and former Oiler Nick Bjugstad. Right side, fourth line for Bjugstad. Interesting. Let's go to the defense now. Mikhail Sergachev with John Marino. Oli Mata paired up with Sean Dursey. Ian Cole with former Oiler farmhand Michael Kesselring. In goal tonight for the Oilers, 32-year-old Calvin Pickard, 16-7 record, 267 goals against average, .898 save percentage in 25 games this season. Pickard, lifetime versus Utah. Remember, they are, quote-unquote, an expansion team. 1-0 record, 294 goals against average, 903 save percentage in that lone appearance. And then at the other end of the rink, it will be 28-year-old Karel Vejmelka making his 11th straight start for the Utah HC. 19-17-6 is his record, 267 goals against average, 909 save percentage, 1 shutout in 44 games this year. The 28-year-old has a 1-3-1 record versus Edmonton in his career, or 450 goals against average, 875 save percentage in the 5 games he has faced the Edmonton Oilers. That takes us to the Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy Injury Report. At Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy, we treat you like the pros. Our multidisciplinary team includes sports medicine physicians, along with highly skilled physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and massage therapists. If you have a nagging pain you'd like to see go away, book your consultation today at www.advantagesportsmed.ca. For Edmonton, John Klingberg did skate today, still day-to-day undisclosed. Trent Frederick, IR ankle. We got an update on Frederick from Chris Knobloch saying don't expect him to play at all this week. Alec Regula still on the IR knee. Evander Kane, LTIR, abdominal surgery, and knee surgery. As for Utah HC, Liam O'Brien, day-to-day, lower body. Robert Bortuzzo, IR, lower body. That is your Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy Injury Report and starting lineups, which were brought to you by South Fort Chev. Nancito, anything stand out to you there that you want to touch on before we bring Bell in?
No, not really. Like I said, the lineup, this is probably as close as to a playoff lineup you're going to get for the Edmonton Oilers. Outside of between the pipes, and that's just the reality. And then
Frederick, when he comes back,
and Trent
right?
Frederick, that's what I was just going to say for Kappen. And so, yeah, not a lot. I'm excited to see this team. I mean, they're out of excuses, Tom. They really are. They really are. There's no more excuses. And interesting note, you know what I found interesting today too, Tom, was a lot of fans on our show were saying they're upset that Trent Frederick's not ready, but this has been the timeline since they acquired him. Like, I don't know why people are still surprised that he's not playing. He's not going to play probably for another week or so, right?
Well, at least this week he's out. That's what Knobloch was telling us today during his availability. The other guy, like before anybody starts texting in saying, what about Evander Kane? Reed made a good point on the Reed Wilkins show. It's like, if he comes back, what do you really expect from a guy that didn't play all season?
Yeah, we talked about it too on the show. Like, this guy's going to come in. He hasn't played since game 4 or 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals, Tom.
That's right.
And we're expecting him to come in and kind of bring that physicality. It's gonna be a tough ask. So for me, it's one of those things where I think outside of Frederic, this is what you're gonna see. Game 1 of the playoffs, you're gonna see these 6 defensemen. You're gonna see Stuart Skinner in net. I know Pickard's going tonight, but it's gonna be Trent Frederic for Kapanen, and that these are gonna be the 12 guys, right? I know they called up Derek Ryan today, just to have the extra body. He's a veteran guy. He can moonlight in this lineup from time to time, but when Frederic's here, one of them has to go down. So we'll see what happens.
All right, you can text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, maybe you're on your way to the game, shoot us a note. Drive safely, though. The roads are much better than they were a few days ago. All right, Belle Fraser's ready to go down at the media lounge, it looks like, at Rogers Place. Let's go to her. Hello, Belle. Nice to actually meet you in person today.
I know, it was good.
Yeah,
good to put a face to the name.
Yes. You're always excellent. That's why we had to have you back. So I had to go and see you at the locker room, say, hey, are you good to go for tonight? And you're more than willing and excellent as always. So we're doing it again. And I think it's tremendous. All right, a lot of stuff to get to in this one. And I want to start with the most important pressing issues when it comes to Utah HC. What the heck's going on with these trademark things? Because you've been tweeting about it. Some names are extended. We saw them use the EA Sports NHL series logos with the jerseys.
Yeah.
Please bring everybody up to speed on the worst named team in the NHL.
I could have guessed this was going to be the first question. I don't know how much Oilers fans know about the process, but a month or so ago, they narrowed it down to 3 names: Utah Hockey Club, I'm blanking. Sorry.
Yeti.
No, Yeti. So Yeti was disqualified.
Right.
So they had issues with the trademark with Yeti Cooler Company. They could not come to a coexistence agreement.
Wow.
They thought that Yeti Coolers would probably want to exist with each other, be a sponsor, something of that sort. And Yeti Coolers said no and basically asked the trademark office to block it. So Utah chose to take a different path. So it was Utah Mammoth, Utah Outlaws, or Utah Hockey Club, and fans were able to vote on those 3 names at Delta Center over the span of a 4-game homestand. And with that, it was the name, and then they showed the logos, what it would look like on the Jumbotron, what it would look like on a jersey. So they're compiling that data. But yes, all the trademark stuff that broke today, there was a report that the only trademark that had been extended by Utah Hockey Club was Utah Mammoth. And that's not exactly true. So the Utah Mammoth trademark, the notification of a non-final action for that came on November 5th for them. So when the non-final action comes, the team has, or ULLC, they're calling themselves on the trademark website, has 90 days to extend that trademark application.
Okay.
So just because they got that action on November 5th, that's why it shows that Mammoth was extended in February. Utah Hockey Club, the name was also extended. The logos for Utah Hockey Club weren't extended, but that's as to be expected, because if they go with Utah Hockey Club name, there will be a new logo nonetheless next year.
Wow. Okay.
And the only reason that Utah Outlaws wasn't extended is because their non-final action email came in January. So 90 days from January is April. So it's not up for extension right now. So it doesn't mean that Outlaws was removed. Doesn't mean that Utah Hockey Club was removed. It doesn't mean that Outlaws won or Mammoth won. It's kind of just the trademark process. And the thing that Smith Entertainment Group has done is they've extended 5 other names too, like Frost, Blizzard, Caribou, names that obviously are not going to be the main ones, but it's their way of showing that 10 trademarks are active, so fans and journalists like us can't go in and guess which one they're choosing. So It's really a non-story. There's still no official name. They're still going to announce it after the season ends. But yes, there was a bit of the stir with the logistics of the trademarking today, but no new news out of it, really.
Well, I'm a nerd for jerseys and logos, so I'm just looking forward to whatever real name that they finally choose. Hopefully not HC. Was there not Wasatch? Am I saying it right? Was that part of it?
Wasatch was part of it for around 12 hours, but it was never part of the original polling. Smith Entertainment Group kind of just threw it in the mix, and fans were not happy with that. They said this was not a name we ever voted for. We're not really sure what a Wasatch is, and so they switched it out with Outlaws immediately after. So Wasatch was an option for, like I said, less than a day, and they immediately switched out with Outlaws, which was part of the original polling. So yeah, Wasatch is not in the mix.
Good call. I would just say good call indeed. All right, another neat thing that came up today is apparently Mikhail Sergachev is an eggs dealer in the Utah locker room. Good scoop for you today. We know he's a good defenseman, but what's the story behind the whole eggs thing?
It's funny. I saw Ian Cole one practice with a carton of, it looked like fresh eggs, and I was just kind of curious, and I knew Sergachev had a chicken coop in his backyard, so I was talking to him on the road in Vancouver, and I was just like, are you like dealing eggs to your teammates? And he was like, yeah, I actually am. He said once they get to like 24 or 30 eggs, he starts bringing them around the team. Ian Cole was shocked at the price of eggs in the United States right now, so he said he's all in to get the eggs. And then there was a little bit of a funny rift between Nick Bukestad and Mikhail Sergachev. Bukestad was making sure Sergachev's chickens were healthy and the eggs were clean, just with all of the bird flu mania going on in America right now. And Sergachev was very offended. He said he disrespected his chickens, so Bukestad had to do a formal apology, he called it. And although Sergachev waited a week to deliver the eggs, he did give Bukestad his own delivery. So it's all settled. But yeah, Sergachev serves every purpose for this team on the ice and apparently off the ice as well.
He's providing for his teammates, not just steady defensive play, but literally food and sustenance, which is tremendous. Belle Fraser with us from the Salt Lake Tribune as we get you set for the Oilers and Utah HC. Belle, those eggs seem to be working, because with a win tonight, losses by St. Louis and Vancouver, Utah could be in a tie for that last wildcard spot. What has propelled this team to a 6-2-2 record in the last 10?
I mean, literally last game against the Vancouver Canucks was make or break for their season. Not to put it lightly, all of the players said that if they lost against Vancouver that night, they would have been 6 points out of the second wildcard spot, and instead they're 2 right now. So don't have to be a mathematician to prove how meaningful that game was. And I think for them, the biggest change has just been not being intimidated by the moment. This is a team that was extremely young and hadn't been healthy for the first 55-plus games of the season. They had Sean Durzi out, John Marino out, Sergachev out, Gunther out, Cooley out at different times. So this is kind of the first time they're seeing their whole roster come to fruition. So I think that's part of it. But it's also the way they're dealing with adversity, I think. In the beginning of the season, if they were down 3-0 like they were against the Toronto Maple Leafs last week, the game probably would have ended 6-1 or 6-2. They just wouldn't have the mental fortitude to kind of believe that they could get back into these games. But they've had a handful of comeback wins recently, and they tied that game against Toronto last Monday and got a point in the shootout. So I think you're just seeing a team that believes in itself, but also has tangible depth now. They don't have Sergachev skating 28 minutes a night. They're not relying on just Clayton Keller to score. You know, Kevin Stenlund has 3 points in 2 games right now as the fourth line center. So a lot of it has to do with just having 4 lines to roll and 3 D pairs that are healthy and have played together consistently, aren't juggling around like you guys kind of saw last time Oilers played Utah.
Bell, Karel Vejmelka is going to play his 11th straight game, or make his 11th straight start. He's had an okay season. Like, the numbers are all right. Win-loss record 19-17-6. But a lot of people around here were actually clamoring for the Oilers to trade for him. And I was like, that's not really realistic, because they need him in Utah. And obviously that's proven to be the case. How good has he been on this last little stretch of games? Is he really coming into his own right now?
Yeah, following his 5-year contract extension, we talked to Bill Armstrong, and Bill Armstrong did not mince words. He said Karel Vejmelka saved our season, which I agree with. Earlier in the year, when Connor Ingram took a step away from the team for around 2 months, Vejmelka assumed the starting role and, you know, went on to win, I believe it was 8 out of 11 games at that point. He's a big reason why they're in playoff contention right now. And when Ingram came back, they kind of went to a goaltender rotation on and off a game, and that's when Karel's numbers kind of dipped. And he talked about it like any other NHL player. He needs to be playing consistently physically and mentally to be better. And like you said, it's his 11th consecutive game, which coming into this season, I'm not sure if he planned for or anyone in the organization planned for, but he's been a really big bright spot for them, and they're really trying to manage his workload right now. They called up Jackson Stopper from the AHL to be his backup, but head coach Andre Torini has said, I'm making goaltender decisions like we're in a 7-game playoff series, and you start your starter every night now. So that's what they're going for. They've really relied on the E-Bugs in Utah during practice to take the majority of the shots, while Vejmelka will, stay out for 5 minutes and stretch and kind of do his own thing. So internally, they're aware that they can't, tire him out at this point in the season, but he's the guy to turn to. He has the contract to prove it now, and it'll be a test. This is his 3rd start in a 3-game road trip. So we'll see how fresh he is tonight. But yeah, he's been a big reason why Utah is even in the conversation right now.
Vejmelka and Utah HC looking for a big win against the Oilers. Edmonton looking to close the gap between Vegas and themselves, trying to reel them in for first place in the division. Again, Belle Fraser with us from the Salt Lake Tribune. All right, Belle, considering the type of hockey that Utah's been playing lately, what kind of game do you anticipate tonight?
I think for them, it's coming off of the emotional high of the winning against the Vancouver Canucks. And you saw how they were able to just turn the page after having a really poor game against the Seattle Kraken on Friday. And they come out and they play a great game against the Canucks. So now it's kind of the reverse of that. Can you come in level-headed? Can you not be overconfident and kind of be glad that you're in the race, but not let that win distract you from getting it done with the rest of the road trip? And I think that's something that they talked about today, but of course they can say one thing and something else can happen on the ice. But yeah, I think they know and they say it. It's as cliche as it gets, but every game is a game 7 for them. Every game is a playoff game for them. So I don't think, even though they're not right up against the Oilers, that they're viewing this as any less important than any other game this season. And they're rolling with the same lineup. Nick Bukestad is back off of IR, and he's slotted in on the 4th line. Liam O'Brien got hurt on Friday in Seattle, so he's not in the lineup. He's back in Salt Lake City. And then notably, they moved Logan Cooley from first-line center to 2nd-line left wing. It's only his 2nd game playing on the wing this season, and he broke a 6-game scoreless drought last game with his first game on the wing. So we'll see what can happen tonight. But I think they've tried to get him going, and Alex Kerfoot has fit well between Keller and Schmaltz on that top line. So I think if it's not broke, they're not going to change it. They're rolling with kind of the same look they did against Vancouver and hoping it works in Edmonton.
Well, we're going to see how it goes. Maybe the power of those eggs helps Utah HC to a win. Great story today. I read that. And I was like, you know what? We got to ask about that. Awesome stuff as always, Belle. I look forward to seeing you up in the press box later tonight.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
That is Belle Fraser from the Salt Lake Tribune covering the Utah HC. Follow her. She's great and very thorough. So really appreciate her hopping on yet again. We're going to get to Sean Bell right away here. Nancito, are you working on that right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. I'll let you take care of that. We'll get to some of your texts as well. You could get at us in the inbox, 780-218-9999. This text from John says, Belle Fraser, fantastic interview, knows her stuff. Thanks, John. Yes, indeed. She is excellent. Really nice to actually meet her in person today. And she was very happy to hop on, which is great. And then gets those neat little scoops from the chicken coop that Mikhail Sergachev has. I thought that was a nice way to segue into the segment with her and talking about this game. All right, let's get you up to speed really quickly because scoreboard watching becomes a lot of fun this time of year. 9 games on the NHL schedule. After or midway through this one in Montreal, the Habs and the Sens even up at 1. How about Pizzetta and Jack Guy almost getting to a fight with each other at practice yesterday? That was entertaining. I didn't mind that. I like that feistiness this time of year. The Habs looking to climb their way back into the wild card spot in the East. They are a point back of the Rangers going into action tonight. And then you've got the Rangers, who I was just talking about, trailing Calgary 2-1 midway through the second. Pittsburgh up 2-0 on the Islanders. 12 minutes left to play in the middle frame there. You got Detroit at Washington, even up at 1, 5 minutes left in the second. St. Louis, this is a big game for them in Nashville. They're right there with Utah and Calgary and Vancouver. They're up 1-0 on Nashville 9 minutes into the first. Anaheim, Dallas, nobody's scored yet. Midway through the first, you got Chicago hosting Seattle. That game's coming up right away. Edmonton hosting Utah. And then the late game tonight, Vancouver and Winnipeg. Of course, the Jets roll through town on Thursday as this 4-game homestand gets underway against Utah HC. Hernan, do we have Belzy?
No, I'm trying on my phone because the other phone's not working. Okay, give me like a couple seconds.
All good. All right, you can get at us in the nasty chat as well. We want to hear from you. The Oilers and Utah HC playing their third and final game of the regular season. Edmonton 2-0 versus Utah. It is technically an expansion franchise, even though it's the former Coyotes. Edmonton will get Winnipeg Thursday, Seattle this weekend, and then Dallas to wrap up this homestand. And then Utah is wrapping up a 3-game Pacific Division road trip. They were in Seattle, Vancouver, and then it all comes to a close tonight here in Edmonton. The Oilers, of course, 20-11-2 at home this season. They've won their last 2 home games. Utah 17-13-4 on the road. HC, terrible name, 6-2-2 in its last 10 games. Looking at the special teams for tonight, power play for the Oilers, 43 for 165. That's good for 26.1%. Fifth in the NHL. The PK, slowly making some improvements. It has risen to 22nd in the NHL. It was bouncing between 24th and 26th for the last few weeks. 76.5%. 3 shorties scored this season for the Oilers. And then for Utah HC, power play, 44 for 189. That's good for 23%. That's 13th in the NHL. The PK, also 13th in the National Hockey League at 80.5%. Utah HC has scored 2 shorties this season. All right, get into the action. 780-218-9999. Troll saying, guys, just go with Utah HC. Gives it that football feel. But Troll, it's hockey, is it not? It's hockey. And then Leon's body language, great handle, says, Tommy, what's your favorite Utah HC potential name? I'll be honest with you, I did like Yeti very much. It's unfortunate, as Bell described there, that the Yeti Cooler Company said no to it. We saw with the Kraken in Seattle, they made a partnership right away with Kraken Rum. I know the Golden Knights share the trademark with the Golden Knights parachute unit from the U.S. military. So they were able to resolve that. But Yeti would have been my favorite with a Sasquatch as the logo. I thought that would have been awesome. Mammoth is okay, but Colorado has the mammoth of the NLL, so that's kind of it's lame, I suppose, in a way. Outlaws, I don't mind. You could do some cool stuff with the logo and the monikers and all of that. But, yeah, the Utah HC is not one that I'm a fan of really at all. All right. Nanso, no luck on Belzy, hey?
No, we have Belzy, but we're having connection issues because it's connected to a phone that no one knows who's it to, and we can't connect to the roadcaster. So give me like 2 minutes. I got to figure this out here, okay?
All right, sounds good. Keep those texts covered at 780-218-9999. This one via the Nasty Chat, T. Willison. I just want to know how long before I could apply for a woolly mammoth tag. And yes, T. Willison, that's a question for the Bozone. Yeah, well, it'd be cool if they brought those woolly mammoths back. I know that they have their DNA. Maybe they could pull off a little Jurassic Park thing. But the mammoth, I don't mind that. I think that's a neat look too. They did try like Bell said, they floated out the Wasatch name. It's a mountain range. That's what a Wasatch is. And I think that was dumb. So there we go. Really quickly, taking a look at the standings heading into action tonight. You've got the Winnipeg Jets leading things, obviously, in the Western Conference, 98 points. And then following behind them, Dallas at 87, Colorado at 85. That's in the Central. Scooting over to the Pacific, the Golden Knights continue to lead the way at 86 points. They're 5-3-2 in their last 10 games, and Edmonton right behind them, 4 points back. Obviously, tonight's important in trying to climb back into the top spot in the Pacific Division. Edmonton also having played 67 games, 39-24-4 is the record, good for 82 points. LA on the heels of the Oilers, 1 point back, having played 66 games, so they have a game in hand. 5-4-1 is LA in the last 10. And then looking at the wild card situation in the Western Conference, Mini is at 81 points, holding down wild card 1 through 68 games with a 38-25-5 record. Vancouver, 67 games, 31-25-11 is the record, 73 points. The Blues right on their heels, but the Blues have played one more game and have won their last 2, have a 7-2-1 record in their last 10. Calgary and Utah, this is where it gets interesting and important. Calgary and Utah both at 71 points. Utah has played one more game than the Flames. The Flames currently lead in New York against the Rangers. Midway through the second, it is 2-1. They're outshooting New York 19-7 right now, so they're having a decent game. But we saw New York the other day, like they're kind of ho-hum right now. Calgary has struggled, losing 2 in a row. They had a tough night in Toronto yesterday, 3-4-3 in the last 10. The road record for the Flames isn't particularly great at 12-14-6. So this would be a huge win if they can hang on in this one against the Rangers. The Blues were leading Nashville. You would assume they'll probably win that game, although anything could happen. The Preds 5-4-1 in their last 10, having an absolutely dismal season. And then if Utah can shock Edmonton and pull out a win tonight, that would put them right there with Vancouver and St. Louis. Like I said, if Vancouver and St. Louis lose tonight, Utah would be even up with both of those clubs. Out east with the wild card spots, Rangers holding down the second wild card spot. Ottawa at 77 points, nestled in there quite nicely. 6-game heater for the Sens, 7-2-1 in the last 10. Montreal has a big game as they are 7-1-2 in their last 10, trying to leapfrog the New York Rangers. So if the Habs can pull off a victory, they trail right now 2-1 against Ottawa in Montreal now, and the Rangers lose this one against Calgary, the Habs would take over wild card spot 2. That would be great to see. Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal all in the playoff picture out east. I think that would be tremendous. And then out west, you got Winnipeg. Obviously, Edmonton should be in there. And then either Vancouver or Calgary sneaking in there. I don't think Vancouver or Calgary has any hope of catching Minnesota or LA or Edmonton too late in the season for that. 15 and 16 games respectively, the Canucks and the Flames have remaining, and the Canucks playing tonight, Flames playing right now. So that is your Western and Eastern Conference playoff picture right now, heading into action. 9 games on the schedule as we cruise along. Belzy almost ready, Natso?
Yeah, we're just sending him a link. He's just going to do audio, so I'm just waiting for him to connect because this phone thing is an absolute mess. Okay,
Belzy's a busy boy today. He will be our game analyst. Do you want to throw out a question of the night, or do you have one really quickly?
I did. I mean, it's I had a few actually. I always have a few, Tom, but it's very similar when they go on these home and road kind of long games, like 4 or 5 games. So it's another kind of Okay, I'm going to throw out 2. Are you surprised Calvin Pickard got to start in this game? But I mean surprised, not like, oh my God, I can't believe he's playing, because he was really good in his last game. But Skinner coming off his best game in a long time, we were kind of you probably should have ran with Skinner because he's your number 1, right? And you could probably give Pickard that Seattle game. So were you surprised Skinner did not get to start? And then the other one is, it's a 4-game road trip, Tom. It's tonight with Utah. Then you get Winnipeg, then you get Seattle, then you get Dallas. So you got 3 tough teams. Seattle's no walkover either. But what's the record you want to see the Oilers have in this homestand? I say nothing less than 3-1 is good enough. So 2-2 is not good enough. Obviously 1-3, whatever. But I think 3-1 is the lowest bar for me. They have to win at least 3.
Obviously, ideally 4-0. That's probably a bit unrealistic considering how good Winnipeg is and the fits that they've given the Oilers. I like Edmonton against Dallas. I think Edmonton has played Dallas really well in the last couple of years, winning the Western Conference Final last year. 3-1 is, I think, realistic. And I know we said that about the last road trip too. Now they fell short of that, going 2-2. They played an okay game in New Jersey. I don't think it was all that inspiring how they played in New Jersey. The Buffalo game is where they really pissed away a couple of points. This is going to be a tough game tonight. And maybe the Oilers should be on their toes. They should be ready for a good fight with Utah. Hopefully that wakes them up if you're an Oilers fan. I don't know how it'll go against Winnipeg. I know that's going to be super tough. You need to beat Seattle. Just go and beat Seattle. And then who knows what will happen against the Dallas Stars, but I do like their chances against Dallas. So I think realistically 3 wins here or 2-1-1 would be a decent homestand. If they could surprise everybody and go 4-0, that would be great. Talking to Adam Henrique today, he was discussing playing the right way, and the game the team game seems to be coming along. We're going to see a very balanced lineup tonight from the Oilers. They're going to have all their defensemen outside of John Klingberg, but I think Klingberg is the 7th or 8th guy right now, so that's kind of irrelevant. But they're almost healthy. I know they're waiting on Frederick, but I kind of like where this team's headed with the wins that they had in New York and Long Island, and let's see what they can do. A couple of texts as we get set to welcome in Belzy, Shaggy, and St. Albert via the inbox, or no, actually via the nasty chat. Says, take the opponent likely, check. Come home after a road trip, check. Shaggy adds, it wouldn't be a shock if Utah won. Oilers are fat and sassy after 2 straight wins. And the Pickard thing, him starting tonight, yeah, a little bit surprised. Doesn't bother me, though. We'll probably see Skinner against Winnipeg, obviously. We'll probably see him over the weekend against Seattle, and then he probably gets that game against Dallas, and then you go back to Pickard the following night in Seattle. They play at home on Wednesday and then go to Seattle on Thursday, so a bit of a weird twist to the schedule there. Text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as we welcome in our game analyst, Sean Bell, and Belzy bringing us game changers tonight. Game changers, as always, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting has been a consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. He's community-driven, understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. So check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Belzy, we're going to see Calvin Pickard tonight. It's going to be interesting. We've got a Utah team that's playing good hockey of late, fighting for its playoff live. And then you got the Oilers looking to reel in the Golden Knights, and they have a couple of wins. So point number 1, Belzy, build upon it.
I can barely hear a word you're saying, Tommy.
Yep. Uh-oh. That's so it's cutting in and out.
Yeah, we're
Pickard being in net. I think he's obviously earned himself an opportunity to take the net again. He's the last game he played was obviously a pretty good game, and we're at a point right now where the goaltenders haven't been the issue as of late, and I just think that you're trying to gear up for the playoffs. And between whether it's, Pickard or it's Stuart Skinner, at this point, it don't really matter. But, you want to make sure that the team in front of you is playing a really good game. And you also want to make sure that, at the end of the day, Stuart Skinner is going to be your number 1 when it comes to playoff time. So can we make sure that he's rested, he's good, so that he can handle a full workload?
Belzy, Shaggy and St. Albert saying he thinks the Oilers are going to be fat and sassy going into this one. Do you buy that?
Can't hear you at all. But
all right, let's see if we can get Belzy on point number 2 here. Depth. Belzy, if you can hear me, talk about the depth.
In depth, yeah. In depth, there right now you've got a plethora of forwards at your disposal, and actually you have a plethora of defensemen. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to find chemistry amongst the team, and you're trying to figure out who's going to be, suited to play the most minutes and who's going to be the best fit. I mean, you saw Jones come into the lineup. He was really good for a couple games. and now he's been out of the lineup. Skinner has been in the lineup. He's been out of the lineup. So right now it's, whoever can play the best and whoever can provide you with the most game is who's going to get in the lineup. Because at this point, you need guys that are going to be able to contribute to the game. And the Oilers have obviously the best two players in the world, and whether or not some of them are playing the best, it doesn't matter. You need depth, and you need guys that are going to be able to contribute on both ends of the ice if this team wants to be successful. And you still have Fredericks that is out of the lineup. You still have Kane, who could potentially be coming back. You have two more pieces that are going to be valuable to you as you continue on throughout the season. So the rest of the guys, show me what you can deliver, because if you can't, well, then you're probably going to be out of the lineup. And at the end of the day, I think everybody has had a fair shake and everybody's had a fair chance to really try to see if they can be in the lineup consistently. And it's up for grabs at this point.
Our game analyst, Sean Bell, joining us now for Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Point number 1 was build upon it. Point number 2 was depth. Point number 3 going into this game against Utah, Belzy, friendly confines.
Friendly confines. The Oilers obviously are a better team at home than they are on the road. It's something that it's important to the Oilers, because right now you're trying to put a stretch together, and you come off the last 2 games on the road and you played well, but you've got to be able to put that together in a consistent stretch. And right now you're in Edmonton, you've got your fans behind you. And if you can put, 3, 4, 5 games together, you're putting yourself back into the right position, despite how you started off the break, or I guess, the new quote unquote season after the break. So it's important that they're able to find their game and bring their best, especially when you have the other fans behind them. So they've been a consistently good team at home. Make sure they bring it. And if you can, then you can put yourself in a really good position, especially for that stretch run.
Belzy, short, sweet, and to the point. I know you're a busy boy. We'll catch up with you on the post-game show. All right, my friend?
Take care, Tommy. Thanks, buddy.
All right, there is our game analyst, Sean Bell, filling in for Matt Cassian tonight. He will be, I think he's going to be at home and on camera for us. So Belzy just taking care of TCB, as we like to say, Nancito. TCB's had a bit of a hectic day, and we appreciate him taking some time to fill in.
I appreciate you too bearing with us there. I don't know, man. Someone keeps messing with these damn phone settings here, and we have to go the old school way, Tom.
Hey, we made it work. It sounded good. Just getting him was the hiccup, but you made it work, Nanso.
No,
well done, my friend.
It was connecting them.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It seems like we're connected to something else, and it won't disconnect. So, nonetheless, we got through it, and yeah, he didn't sound too bad, did he? No,
he sounded good.
Okay, perfect.
I love that Iwanik's back, because now he can go in there and do his engineering bit. Because he puts down the COO hat, picks up the engineering hat, and he gets to work on whatever is ailing our technical side.
Well, there was an option to turn the board off, but I'm like, I don't think that's wise. We'll take Tommy off the air. So tomorrow I'll troubleshoot it with good old Matthew Iwanik there, because and I can show you as well, just so you know kind of what went wrong there. So thank you to you and our listeners for the patience, because everybody loves Boom Boom, right?
Boom, boom. I love that nickname, but good stuff from Belzy. We'll get his full breakdown of the game following tonight's action down at Rogers Place. All right, keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat. Were you surprised by Calvin Pickard being named the starter tonight? We want to hear from you. And then what's the record that you anticipate the Oilers pulling off on this 4-game homestand? You got Utah tonight. You get Winnipeg Thursday, Seattle Saturday, and then Wednesday for Dallas. And then on Thursday, they're in Seattle. So some interesting scheduling there. They had to wedge it in there. It's been condensed. It's been crazy. But I think we're at the point now where we're just used to this. I was talking to some staff from the Oilers today on the business side, and they're already getting into playoff mode. They said it's just been nuts getting set for everything. Yeah. And then like down at Ice District, the rink is closed. You know how they have the skating rink?
Yeah.
I think they're getting ready to melt the ice because it's going to be nice and warm here. I think we got to like 1 or 2 degrees today. I think they're going to get, the mosh pit will be ready to rock right away here. Boy.
Behave if you go
Behave. There. Also, no kidding. When it comes to getting together, watching games, our next live on location for the pre and post game show, March 27th at BP's Westgate, of course, with Curtis, Tony, and the entire crew there. That'll be that Seattle game. The 26th, we are live on location for Oil Stream Afternoon Edition, BP Westgate for that one as well. And then Nanso, we're not ready to announce it yet, but this playoff for home games, we're going to be somewhere, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
I don't even know. So,
oh yeah,
that's perfect.
It's very familiar. That's how I'll describe it.
Okay.
And then I know we're going to be at BP Westgate for road games, and we're hammering that stuff out right now. The logistics of it all.
BP's Westgate has become like an awesome spot. Like I love it there.
It is. It's to the point now where listeners and viewers are just like, hey, when's the next one? I'd like to come check it out. Great food specials, drink specials on game day. And then Tony and Curtis, like we gave away a golf bag and a Bluetooth speaker as the big prizes last week. And I know they had the silent auction and was talking with Tony, and he's like, well, I don't want to take away from the silent auction. But Curtis and Tony were like, why don't we give away a golf bag? Because it was rocking in there yesterday. And then on top of that, Nanso, I don't know if you were there. You probably were back in studio, but BP's Westgate donated $500 to Heavy Hockey Showdown and SACE. So a big thank you and shout out to Curtis and Tony, the entire staff at BP Westgate, and everybody who came up. But you're right, it has become a really fun time when we go and do pre and post game live on location. So playoffs, they're getting ready in the Ice District, and we're getting ready and we're getting ramped up. We're going to be live on location, I think, pretty much every game during the postseason. Hopefully it's a nice long run. That's all I'm saying.
How about this wild card race in the West? St. Louis up 2-0. Calgary up 2-1. Vancouver plays at 8. Utah's looking for a big win. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Scoreboard watching.
And I know Hernan, when you guys were doing the show, Hernan, ESC Afternoons with Gager, he said that this was the time of year where he would like mid-game look up and see what was going on with other teams. I think that's awesome, and we're going to see that. So we're really into the stretch drive now. The weather's going to get better. It just, all of that comes together at once. And to me, it's the best time of year for hockey. And I just can't wait. I'm looking forward to it big time. All right.
Gonna be
Nanso, this one's from Coach Mike via the inbox. And I'm curious to know what you think, because I have my opinion on it. But Coach Mike is asking, will Jeff Skinner stay on Connor McDavid's wing all game? What do you think?
I think it depends on how the game's going.
Yeah.
I think if they're down or close, they're going to go nuclear eventually at one point. I think if they're up and they're looking good and comfortable, I think he'll stick with them. He's done a better job the last 2 games of sticking with the lines outside of a few shifts. He puts Leon and Connor together. I hope so. I mean, I think he's earned it. This is a guy that came in as you and I have alluded to a lot of times, a one-trick pony. We talked to a lot of people in Buffalo and they said, yeah, that's all he does. He's had to find, a different kind of game here. This is a playoff team. He's got to go. He's got to do it at both ends of the ice, and I think he's done a really good job of that. He's getting dirty. He's one of the few guys that goes to the blue ice. Tommy, he drew 2 penalties on Sunday, so I think he's earned it. It hasn't been handed to him like it was for Kasperi Kapanen last game. Like this guy has had to work for it. So I hope he gives them a longer look than we all expect. I truly do, because I think he's worked his way up there to say, hey, give me one more look. And let's see what we have. And I really hope it lasts all game regardless of the score. But knowing Chris Knobloch, depending on the game situation and the score, it might change. But good on Jeff Skinner, man, for getting back up there. Something none of us thought he was going to be able to do a few months ago, Tom.
Right. And we knew he was in the doghouse. We knew that Chris Knobloch and the coaching staff didn't really love his style of play, even though He is, like you said, a one-trick pony. That came as advertised. I would do I think he'll stay up there? I think for today he will. Obviously, moving into that Winnipeg game, TBD. If he has a good showing, then yes. But I said to you at the end of that Rangers game, I'm like, oh, look, they kept the same lines together for the entire game. So maybe we see that tonight. So I'll be optimistic and say, yeah, it does happen tonight. By the way, just, we were talking about the production that Jeff Skinner has had. He's up to 11 goals, 10 assists. He's -6. So by far not the worst guy plus minus wise on the team. That belongs to Kasperi Kapanen at -17. The -6 is second worst, but Kapanen's running away with the green jacket there. You've got a couple of guys at -5, Derek Ryan and Mattias Ekholm. Of course, Ryan spent basically the last month in the minors and a little bit as well. Brett Kulak's at -4, Emberson -5, Stetcher -2. And the rest of the crew is even or better. And leading the charge, Bouchard +15, Draisaitl +28, and Corey Perry +9, Hyman and Ekholm +10. So I know plus minus isn't the be-all, end-all, but a bit of an indicator there. All right, we have a few more minutes. Text us, 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. Oilers and Utah HC. I have starting lineups for you guys, just to go over them one more time. These have been confirmed, both sets of lineups for the Oilers. McDavid with Jeff Skinner and Zach Hyman. Draisaitl between Corey Perry and Connor Brown. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins centering Vasily Podkolzin and Victor Arvidsson. Adam Henrique between Matthias Janmark and Kasperi Kapanen. Ekholm paired up with Bouchard. He makes his return. Ekholm does. Darnell Nurse with Jake Wallman. Wallman on the right side. Brett Kulak with Troy Stetcher. So Emberson out. Calvin Pickard starts in goal. As for Utah, Alex Kerfoot between Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz. Barrett Hayton between Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther. Jack McBain with Lawson Krause and Josh Stone. Kevin Stenlund with Michael Carconi and Nick Bugstad. On defense for Utah, Mikhail Sergachev with John Marino, Oli Mata with Sean Dursey, Ian Cole with Michael Kesselring, Karel Vejmelka getting the nod in goal. And the Emberson being scratched, I'm going off of what the Oilers sent, because they always send the official lines. And are we confirming that?
Here, let me take a look at something here, Tom.
Yeah, because we were talking about Anderson.
I have it as well as Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Stetcher, Wallman, Kulak.
What do you think of that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
An illness, maybe? Because in the morning skate, Emerson was in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Unless they prefer Stetcher over Emerson, which I think is a mistake. I mean,
yeah, because Stetcher was taking a rotation with Klingberg as the fourth pair.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well, Tom. And this is coming straight from the rink, so yeah, don't know, man.
Well, that's what they had. That's what they had. So that's what the Oilers sent in via they always send us the official lineups right before the start of the game. Matt Hyman saying, I'm only texting in because Tommy told us to. Good luck tonight, but not on Thursday. All right, Matt Hyman out of Winnipeg. Thank you. Coach Mike says Skinner has scored and then been scratched the very next game. What would he have to do to stay there versus Winnipeg? That's $1 million, $3 million question, Coach Mike.
Just don't play too well. Just enough to keep you there.
Just good enough to get you into the next game. We'll see how it goes. All right, Nat, so final words to you.
Yeah, I think the Oilers win big tonight. And I know before sometimes I'm like kidding and I'm just trying to be Mr. Extra Positive, but I truly think they run this team out of the rink tonight. I'm not saying 10-1, but I think I predicted earlier 5-1. I think the Oilers are going to be rolling this game. First game back in a while. They get Ekholm back. They get Hyman back. I think they're ready to go. And listen, Calvin Pickard, every time he's gone in there outside of maybe a couple games, he's been solid. Mm-hmm. So I think this is going to be a good game for the Oilers and a not so good game for Utah.
Utah 6-2-2 in its last 10, looking to close the gap into the wild card position that they are chasing, and then you've got the Oilers looking to close the gap between them and the Vegas Golden Knights. 4 points back heading into action. Tonight, we'll see if they can get a win against Utah HC. They have never lost to Utah HC, 2-0 in the prior 2 meetings. They're looking to sweep them this year. We'll see if that happens. A big thank you to Belle Fraser from the Salt Lake Tribune joining us, giving us the scoop on Utah. And then a big thank you to everybody who watched and listened. Of course, we appreciate you. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. For Sean Bell and Hernan Salas, I'm Tom Gazzola saying enjoy the game. We'll see you after the Oilers and Utah HC.